السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أهلا وسهلا مرحبا بكم. Today we're going to have a brief reminder on the first day of Ramadan. And Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed me with the opportunity to speak to you and address you today on the first day of Ramadan. It's a special privilege in doing that. Any other day inside Ramadan is a great talk and so, but this one, it's a very important one because literally we received the news on Sunday, we've got ready on a Monday, but here we are on Tuesday, and now we are fasting. And as with all Ramadans and every single Ramadan, the first day is usually that odd day, the day when you still think you can eat, the day when you still reach for the fridge and have a look at something you can snack on, the day when you're trying to adjust yourself to this new, you could say, way of life, this new temporary, you could say, temporary way of life throughout these 29 or 30 days. And this, what makes Ramadan very special, especially for me, is the community effort, the opportunity for us to worship Allah collectively as one ummah, and allow us to share in a joint struggle. Now, often, especially if we are not in any particular difficulty, we can get very complacent with our lives, with our privilege, what the things we have, and especially us live in you could say privileged societies, like a lot of Western countries. We often not even realize and recognize some of the blessings that Allah has given us, the many blessings that Allah has given us. One of those blessings we witnessed taken away from us last year and some of this year was our freedom to move about and go where we sought to. The idea to just get up and go to a restaurant for something nice to eat, go to a park for somewhere, have a nice stroll, just something for us to just get up and just do because we wanted to, because we could do such freedoms we had literally lost. Um, and I think even especially for myself, I recognized that blessing. Especially even though I myself am an introvert, I like being, you could say, on my own somewhat. But even with that, um, myself and I'm sure you yourself also witnessed that there was an added level of appreciation for the ability to just go out and do as you wish. So this is month Ramadan where we are withholding and restraining ourselves from food and drink and our desires for 30 days during the time when the sun rises or when Fajr begins until when the sun sets. During this period of time, we are sacrificing what we want to do for the greater good, for our iman, so that hopefully, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, لعلكم تتقون, so that I'll hope that you would gain and acquire taqwa. And taqwa, what is interesting about this word taqwa, especially as it relates to the issue of fasting, is that taqwa comes from the word wiqaya, as in waqa yaqi, which means to protect or to shield oneself. So if we fast for Allah's sake and we hope to attain taqwa, we hope to build up this shield that guards us and shades us and protects us from the evils of our own selves, from the evils of other people, and allows us to protect ourselves from the temptations of a shaitan. So we wish to build this shield. What better way to build the shield than with literally practice of withholding and restraining our nafs. This is the issue which often people overlook when it comes to al-Islam. They think Islam is peace and love, and don't doubt it is the case. But al-Islam is al-istislam, submission. بالله بالتوحيد بالتوحيد to Allah in tawheed, in monotheism to Him. والقيادة له بالطاعة, and to submit to Him with obedience. Literally, fasting is our opportunity to submit in obedience to Allah, to put aside what we want to do and do what Allah wants us to do. And as one individual mentioned, it's a very it was an amazing phrase. He said, Islam was not, if it was in line with everything we wanted to do, meaning if Islam was literally told us to do what we wanted to do anyway, then there would be no test. When you think about that, if all the Sharia, if all the situations and circumstances that come in our lives and what Islam dictates was exactly what we wanted anyway, then there isn't really any test. So how can you really even say, realistically, that you've worked for Jannah when you literally everything you've done was what you wanted to do anyway? Jannah needs to be strived for. As in Hadith, Allah mentioned to Jibreel to go and look at Jannah and what He has promised inside Jannah for His believers. And Jibreel looked and came back and said, "Verily, I feel every single person who hears about this Jannah will definitely enter Jannah." I mean, if they hear about it, they'll obviously work and just do what they need to do to get this reward. But then Allah said, "I placed upon it hardship and trials and difficulty. Now go and look on what I have prepared." And Jibreel went and looked and saw that the hardship that was required to achieve this Jannah. And he came back and said, "Verily, I fear that no one will enter it." As in, basically, the difficulties that I've placed, you could say the fee for entry into paradise is hardship. The fee for entry into salvation is obedience, and is to do as we have been ordained to do, lovingly in obedience to the one who created us, purely for the fact that Allah is Allah. So this is one of the beautiful things I feel about Ramadan, especially myself, as that we see this coming together of everyone doing the same thing, fasting together, looking out for each other, and you could say we are manifesting in physical form what we need to manifest internally. What I mean by that is we want food, we want drink, but we are physically not doing that. And the intent of that is that we're building up self-restraint, understanding, and the idea of putting aside personal desires for something greater later on, which is pretty much what we do in our dunya. We go to university, we go to college, we go to work, and we do all this work now for something greater later on. So we delay our gratification for something later on, and that's basically what we do during Ramadan. So in saying that we've experienced COVID, we've even experienced previous Ramadan on lockdown even. This Ramadan is a special one because you could say it's our first Ramadan when we can say in a way stretch our legs more than we could last year. Some massages are even open, so we can take part in Taraweeh, which last year it was taken away from us. And we should definitely take this opportunity to give shukr and thanks to Allah who brought us and saved us until today. Unfortunately, there are many people, many of the Muslimin across the world who are unable to share this Ramadan with us this year. Last year, and I guess some of this year, there were many casualties across the world from this bala, from this trial, this global trial of COVID, and some of us have departed us, and we ask Allah to forgive them and forgive them and grant them Jannah, and make it easy for those who are still with us to deal with and manage the loss of their loved ones, especially under the circumstances that happened with this current situation, this pandemic. But in the flip side, as if all things that are with all difficulties and all bad news, there are things to be thankful for. Thankful to Allah for us, like I said, for us being here. Thankful for Allah. Thankful to Allah for us to even be Muslim. I mean, this is one of the biggest blessings of Al-Islam, of anyone that can receive, that they have been shown the beauty of Al-Islam. They recognized it. Listen carefully. It's not just the issue of being shown the beauty of Islam, but they've also recognized the beauty and the benefits and the blessings of Al-Islam. And Allah has given them the tawfiq, given them the ability and the blessing to acknowledge it and submit to it. Now, unfortunately, There are many people who see Islam day in and day out, but they don't recognize its truth. And some of them even recognize its truth, but do not submit to the truth. So we should be thankful to Allah for so many things. Of them, the most important of them is the fact that Allah has guided us to the straight path. And as you say, every time in our salah, ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, guide us to the straight path. And this is something we repeat every single time in our salah, just so that we can help ask Allah to maintain, to first and foremost give us the straight path that we are upon, that we wish to be upon, and to maintain that path once we have been placed on that path, and to make it easy for us to traverse this journey, because it is a journey. It is a journey to wake up day in and day out, having to deal with the everyday rat race of earning, looking after our family and friends and responsibilities, and still on top of all of that, maintain the our identity as Muslims, especially in scenarios and situations and environments that makes it very difficult for us to maintain our identity. And Ramadan is one of those times when it becomes increasingly difficult to maintain that identity, where, especially in non-Muslim countries, where people around us are eating all the time. They probably even offer you food. And we have to say, unfortunately, I can't have your food. Sorry, I am fasting. And we should always be proud as Muslims for that privilege of fasting during the month of Ramadan, because this is our opportunity to wipe away the dirt of the past and embrace the new habits of the future, and embrace, you could say, it's almost like a ghusl. Ramadan is like a yearly ghusl of all the wasakh, all the dirt that we've acquired over the previous years, and our attempt to try and come out after that with better prospects and a brighter future for um, our journey towards our ajal, our final end. And in traversing that now, in the next part of, what I like to encourage everyone to think about is the habits we want to build during this month of Ramadan and the habits we want to maintain after Ramadan. Now, what I tend to advise people with when it comes to Ramadan sometimes may seem contrary to what others advise. And it's not to say that they are contradictory or conflicting advice. They're both good advice and they're both valid in their due right. But my advice is always to people is to spend this Ramadan to try and build upon habits that are small that you can maintain after. Now, when I say it might be different to what other people may say, is because you may hear people say, I want to complete reading the Quran in the month of Ramadan, I want to do all my sunnahs during the month of Ramadan, I want to do all of this, I want to do all of that, and have a long list of during the month of Ramadan. And no doubt these things are a blessing, and we should encourage people to do as much good deed as we can during this month of Ramadan, whether it be given in charity, whether it be doing dhikr specifically, whether it be doing our extra sunnahs, and so on and so forth. But what I also encourage people to do is to spend maybe even half an hour, maybe even an hour, having a good think about what can you do that is really small, almost insignificant, almost negligible, but you can do regularly, to the level whereby by the time you finish these 29, 30 days, it's now a habit. It's not something you just normally do. Now, as an example, some of us may not pray witr. Maybe someone's just lazy and they think to themselves, okay, look, I want to come out of this Ramadan doing my witr and maintaining my witr. Or maybe something like doing the rawatib, doing the 2 rak'ah before dhuhr, the 2 rak'ah after dhuhr, the 2 rak'ah after maghrib, the 2 rak'ah after isha, and the 2 rak'ah before fajr. With the highly encouraged sunnahs of salah, maybe we're falling short, and we recognize that it's not that difficult. I mean, 2 rak'ah, well, it's not very difficult to do that throughout the day. I mean, you're already praying 7-10 minutes already. It's not going to harm you to add just an extra 3 minutes doing another salah. So you might dedicate yourself to just to do that. Maybe you want to choose to do some kind of adhkar, maybe the dhikr, the adhkar of the morning and the evening. Whatever it may be, I think it's important that we make targets ourselves and we try and build those habits Rather than doing this dhikr on this day and then this salah on that day and then this one on another day, they're all very great in and of themselves. But if you're doing random things on random days, what's the likelihood that you maintain all of those things regularly? And you want to make these actions a part of who you are, a part of your psychology, a part of how your behavior. That's one of the things I really love. I was amazed about when I was living in Saudi, was the amount of the deen, the religion of Al-Islam, was woven within the fabric of people's cultures, their behaviors, their dress, to the point whereby it was second nature for people to make dua for you. It was second nature for people to just make dhikr on its own. It was woven within the, like I said, the fabric of society as a whole. This is something we need to try and develop in ourselves, and it's extremely difficult because we're in a society of people swearing all the time and illicit behavior and all sorts of misgivings and misbehaving. But what we want to do, as much as possible, is be that light, that shining beacon in the darkness, whereby anyone can just point to say, yeah, that guy over there, mashallah, he's always on point, always righteous, he's always doing the best he possibly can. This is what I think will be an amazing thing to come out of Ramadan with, achieving and maintaining as we exit Ramadan. So in the summary, what you can almost say is what you can almost say that I'm trying to deliver here is take Ramadan as literally an opportunity to prepare yourself for the coming year. Let me say it one more time. So you're doing Ramadan, you're doing all these things inside Ramadan in preparation for the coming year. How do you want to be from the Shawwal to the Sha'ban of the next year? How do you want to be and behave during that next cycle? And this is something that so it's kind of like looking at Ramadan in a different light. Rather than looking at what can I achieve in the Ramadan, maybe think about what can I do in Ramadan to become better after Ramadan. If that makes sense. So it's a more long-term approach as opposed to a short-term approach. This is something I always try and encourage people. Habits. You can't underestimate the power of habits. And as the hadith goes, the best of actions are those that are small but consistent. Small things, but are consistent. And on top of that, and the last point I want to cover is community. Literally, some of us spent the majority of this last whole year indoors. We've tried our best to maintain our relationships with others around us throughout Ramadan through emails and social media and phone calls and so on and so forth. But for the large part, we spent our times just with our immediate families. And only Allah knows how difficult it has been for maybe those reverts out there who have come to Islam but haven't had the opportunity to join any of the Muslim families through marriage or whatnot. So they've literally spent their year on their own. I mean, obviously not on their own entirely. They have, like I said, they've kept their ties and communicated with Muslims throughout the year. But I'm talking about on a day-to-day basis. Masajid have been closed for a large part of it. Work has been done at home, so they haven't even seen the Muslims at work. We all know what's happened. So, as much as possible, we need to try and reach out to those who may not be as privileged as yourselves to be in a Muslim family, in a Muslim environment, and especially, if you much as possibly can, during the time of Eid. This is something I always mention every single year. Often we forget that not everyone is in the situation that we are in. And we have to remember that we're in an environment that aid our situation, as I mentioned plenty of times in this talk. And it warms the heart when I hear about Muslim cultures in Muslim lands and how they behave during Eid. Just the other day, I heard that in Malaysia, for example, and in Brunei, they have a natural culture during the time of Eid whereby literally the front doors are open. Literally, the front doors are open and literally invite any random Joe on the street to come in to have some food during Eid as a means of inviting and embracing the wide community in the beauty of Al-Islam. And this not just only in those two places. Even whilst I was in Saudi Arabia, it was very common for the Muslims to say, "Tafaddal ma'ana, have some food," and so on and so forth. These are the things, like I said, these are the community-based things that have is almost second nature in Muslim lands. They have to make extra effort to try and inject that into our lives in the West. And it's something we should definitely do, even if it means inviting those who aren't even Muslim. So what I encourage people to do, if they have non-Muslim neighbors, I'm sure everyone does, is during the month of Ramadan and maybe during Eid as well, prepare something for your neighbors. Give them a dish, give them some sweets, give them something. Let them recognize that it's Ramadan and that you, as a Muslim, are giving them something and be nice to them, sharing that the beauty of Al-Islam. You have to see, guys. You have to remember, very few people, and correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong, but very few people come to Islam due to logical reasons only. I would bet that a large proportion of people will come to Islam due to emotional reasons, i.e., they've met Muslims who are amazing people. They've seen the community of Muslims being so beautiful. They've heard the adhan. They've heard how beautiful that sounds. They've been emotionally moved to accept Islam. They've been emotionally encouraged to see the beauty of Islam. And it wasn't just the issue of, well, three gods in one doesn't make sense. Yeah, true, that may open the doors of consideration, but that move, that step to accept Islam and embrace Islam, I would make quite a strong bet, and it's not a gambling bet, a juror. I would make a strong bet that it's that most people embrace Islam due to some emotional movement. That emotional movement could even be something tragic, a death of a loved one. Maybe themselves they've heard of they've come to the realization of the shortness of their own lives. Maybe an accident brought them to a near death experience. These kind of things. So emotionally, they will move to consider and then leave and then accept. So this is the very good reason why we should try our best to embrace those around us with things like this. And like I said, no one can really quantify how emotionally moved a person will be by you preparing food for them. I mean, that's actually an amazing thing. I mean, I always bring this one example all the time, like a maniac. I took a group of people to Umrah, and we were on a bus driving from Mecca to Medina, and it was during Ramadan time. And a Saudi came in the middle of a motorway and stopped as it came out in the middle of the road and stopped our bus. And then the bus stopped. What's going on? Is it, do you need any help? The guy came on the bus, and he didn't say anything else. He just started to just count heads. And then he went off the bus. And we think to ourselves, what's going on? What's he counting heads for? And he came back on the bus with bags of food. He was counting how many people would he have to feed for this day's iftar. Random person in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the desert, stopping random buses, giving people food to break their fast during Ramadan. That day was like many days in Saudi. That day was insane, and the way people feel was amazing. This stranger, you had no idea. I mean, it even broke down barriers of assumption. He didn't look like the atypical righteous person, big long beard, and no, it was just like a normal everyday Saudi. But he said to himself, he made the decision. Today is the day I'm going to feed the people coming from Mecca to Medina, and I'll get the reward. That was it. And he made the effort, and he fed us. And we want to tell you, great, may Allah bless him and reward him for that one event that I've told hundreds of people in many of my discussions and talks about that one individual, because it was literally an amazing thing. And so imagine you are that person this Ramadan to your neighbors, knocking on their door and bringing a massive pot of biryani or something, I don't know, whatever you want to give them. and they look at you thinking, what's happening? What's happening? Oh, it's Ramadan. We're breaking our fast. We would like you to have some food with us. Here you go. And if you want to go the extra length, if you've got the space in your house, depending how big your house is, you can invite them around as well and say, here you go, here's some food. Gentlemen, I guarantee you, they will leave your house or they will take your food and they will eat your food and they will be shocked and they may even think, mashallah, well, don't say mashallah, but they'll think, oh, these Muslim guys, they're so amazing. This is how we break the narrative that we're all terrorists and maniacs and blow each other up. This is how you break the narrative, not through counter da'wah videos where you just say, oh, we're not terrorists. No, show the people that Muslims are who we are. As Allah said in the Quran, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You are the greatest nations that have ever come out to mankind. تأمرون بالمعروف. You order the good. وتنهون عن المنكر. And you forbid from the evil. وتؤمنون بالله. And you believe in Allah. So we should take these kind words of advice for everyone here. This is the first day of Ramadan, first of many days to come. Inshallah, hopefully may Allah make it easy for you this fast, facilitate for you all avenues of worship, and may Allah accept it from you, all of you, during this blessed month of Ramadan 2021. And inshallah, we can open up for any questions anyone has, maybe 5-10 minutes before we all get ready for our iftar, start getting our samosas frying, so on and so forth. Any questions, anyone? Any questions, anyone? So if anyone has any questions, you can please type it. Otherwise, I'll just fill in the air until someone mentions anything. So maybe anyone can share with us another. Maybe you don't have a question, but maybe you can share with us what you plan to do during the month of Ramadan, or what you plan to do for others during this blessed month of Ramadan. Please don't be shy. Just type in the comments, and we will. Maybe what you plan to do will be an inspiration for others that they plan to do. As for myself, I'll open up for myself. One of the benefits I got from last year's Ramadan was Taraweeh. Normally we go to Taraweeh in the masjid, and it was, and normally I would say most of us go to the masjid, we stand, we bow, we prostrate, and then we leave. And our engagement psychologically with it was, or is, less than it needs to be. Whereas last year when we were on lockdown, we had the choice, and I guess you could say we were forced to either not pray at all or pray on your own. Alhamdulillah, Allah facilitated and Allah aided me to lead my family in Salah, and it was one of the best experiences to date when it comes to that. So I encourage you all to give that a try, even if it's only a few days. And if you don't have to be half the Quran, you can hold the Mus'haf if you wish to, and try your best to lead, even if it's just 2 rak'ah, even if it's just something, your family in Salah. That will be an amazing event, amazing thing to do on a regular basis. That maybe after Ramadan, you can maintain that and keep it going. Remember, we call it Taraweeh, but Taraweeh is basically Qiyam al-Layl, nighttime prayer. And Qiyam al-Layl is something that Messenger Allah did sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Ramadan and outside Ramadan. It's not something we should just only do during Ramadan. We can also do Qiyam al-Layl outside of Ramadan. As long as it's after Isha and before Fajr, we can do just 2 rak'ah if it's that small thing, and you can pray. And like I said, some of us try and put unrealistic goals on ourselves. We try to say, yeah, we have to do a whole 20 rak'ah to finish the whole Quran. No, like I said, something small, but consistent. Maybe all you can do this whole month is read 1 juz, but that's better than doing nothing. So do your best you can. Okay, so I've seen some stuff come up. It's just the same thing repeated. Okay, so what advice do you give about the number of raka'at in Taraweeh if you're praying on your own? As the hadith of Mr. Allah is asked about that, مثنى ومثنى وإذا خشي أحدكم الصبح أوترت به ما صلى. Do your Qiyam al-Layl time in twos and twos and twos, and if you fear the dawn break, then finish it off with an odd number. So rather than trying to dictate upon yourself and make it mandatory upon yourself to do an X amount of number that you probably can't even keep up and maintain, try and just do what you can do. So maybe today you could just do two. Maybe tomorrow you can do four. Maybe after that you can do six. Maybe you do two for half an hour long. Maybe you do six for 20 minutes long. Switch it up. Try your best to find that balance, but not overdo it. If your back starts hurting you, take a seat. If you get too tired, have a rest. Just make it something that is manageable, something easy to maintain, and something you can realistically try and continue after the fact. I think that'd be a lot better than just trying to overload yourself, kill yourself half dead. You're half dead. Your family's half dead. Everyone comes out of Ramadan exhausted and almost not in the case, but almost feeling what's the word? Burdened. Make it something that is enjoyable. And also, maybe you can also try to, when you do your two rak'ah, okay, remember you're doing twos and twos. When you do your two, between each rak'ah, have a break. Do two rak'ah, and then maybe have 10, 15-minute break. There's nothing wrong in having a break. There's nothing in Islam which says that all 28, 6 rak'ah you do have to be consecutive. You can do two rak'ah, you can get up, have a drink, text your mum, ask her how she is, walk around, give your family a hug, and then do another two, and then sit on the sofa, chill for a bit, and then do another two after that. There's no reason why you can't spread it out. You don't have to overburden yourself. Can I ask about crypto? You could, but this is not really the time for that, is it? So that's another thing, by the way. Someone asked about crypto, and I would say, and I have a video actually coming out on that soon. I would say that during the month of Ramadan, don't be unrealistic in the sense that you starve yourself from that which is normal. So, for example, imagine you I don't know, you follow football scores, for example. So I don't know if there's football going on now. Whatever. Imagine you follow the football scores, this match and that match. There's nothing wrong in still doing that. I mean, there's nothing in Islam that says you can't follow the football scores. Or imagine you love reading novels about science fiction or whatever the case may be. There's no reason why you still can't do that during Ramadan time. All it means is that try and allocate some time to worship Allah alongside what you normally do. So I would say, whatever you do, which is halal and mubah, you can continue doing it. There's nothing wrong in that. But just try and allocate some time to some righteousness. So imagine you spend normally about 2 hours reading a book a day. Maybe spend an hour reading a book and an hour reading the Quran. So you still get to do what you normally do and get that off your chest. And then do what you want to do. Do the acts of worship you can also do. So balance. Listen, everyone. Balance is so important, especially for reverts. Sometimes people go over the top. They go so far deep something that it's basically like an elastic. When you pull an elastic, the more you pull, the more painful it is when you let go and it snaps your hand. So try and basically do your Islam in a comfortable manner, is maintainable and sustainable. That's the best way to say it. It's sustainable. It's like exercise, really. You could exercise for a whole 2 hours straight and kill yourself, and then you spend the next 2 weeks in hospital, and it's not that as a benefit, is it? Just do 10 minutes, 20 minutes exercise, but regularly, more better. So that's for Ish Crypto. There's no reason why you still can't trade or buy or whatever you want to do. Just as long as you allocate some time you would do to righteousness, or integrate. That's a good one. Integrate in what you do in your dunya. So imagine you do trading. Imagine you do business. Maybe this Ramadan, before you do business, make dua to Allah. Spend 10 minutes just making dua for Allah to make your business successful and allow you to appreciate what Allah's given you, and bless you in that which you earn. So you're still doing business, but you're now acting and embedding within that ibadah. Well, what are the actions that should be done during Ramadan? As much as you can. There's so many things that can be said. I mean, acts of worship. If I'm praying Tarawih in my own at nights, what time is the best time to start, do I uh, and do I do it with Isha or delay? That isn't, again, like I said, it's entirely to you. Straight after Isha, which is obviously more convenient and easy for yourself. You pray Isha, you pray Tarawih, and then you have the rest of the night to either sleep or whatnot. By all means, do that. If you want to get a greater reward by separating half of the night, by all means, do that. If you want to go sleep after Isha and wake up in the last third of the night, by all means, do that. Whatever is easy for you to do, then do. No doubt, delaying it later on in the night is greater reward, but you have to balance off greater reward from actually missing it entirely. Maybe you've gone to sleep with intention of praying last third of the night, and you wake up after suhoor, and you missed it. So be balanced and do the best you can. Now, does reading the whole Quran, the whole English Quran, also count towards completing it? So reading the English or reading the Quran in the language you understand counts as studying the Quran, but it doesn't count as the recitation of the Quran that you get reward for each letter. So there's a hadith which says you get reward for each letter. So yeah, you do get reward for each Arabic letter you recite, not for each English letter you recite, but you will still get the reward of the contemplation of the Quran in reading English. So think about it. If you read the Quran in Arabic and you have no idea what Arabic is saying, you're getting a reward for the recitation, but not the tadabbur, not the contemplation. If you read the English, then you're getting a reward for the contemplation, but not the qira'ah. And obviously, if you're Arabic, then you're getting both rewards. So do the best you can. Um, I know you're saying it's easy to take it easy, but isn't Ramadan about pushing yourself? No, maybe misunderstood. I'm not saying take it easy. I'm saying try and find things that you can do in Ramadan that are sustainable after Ramadan. Something that you can come out of it with habits that remain. Now, when it says push yourself, yeah, push yourself to do those things that I said. Push yourself to do things that can remain and sustain yourself after that. If you want to push yourself further than that, then by all means do so. But like I said to you, I said to you both positions, both opinions are they're not conflicting. They're like opposites. You could do this, you can do that. What I'm saying is that open up the doors and the avenues for that which is consistent, especially when you can help engage your qalb, your heart with what you're doing. And also, you have to remember is that a big part of worship is engaging your heart in what you're doing. And it becomes increasingly more difficult to engage your heart in something that is effectively painful or effectively difficult or causing you distress. So it's far greater and more effective to engage your heart, engage your worship of Allah, whereby you are actually wanting to do it. You are actually, I won't say enjoying like a fun thing, but you actually are coming out of it feeling elevated and elated. Whereas, for example, I mean, look at the hadith of the where one Sahabiya, female Sahaba, was praying and she hung a rope from the ceiling. So when she got tired, she would hold herself up. And Mr. said, "Don't do that. Just sleep, man." That's an example of pushing yourself to the degree where it's just now counterproductive. Now you're going beyond. Now you're going to the other extreme. Worship Allah until you get tired, then sleep, and then wake up, and then worship Allah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Be balanced. What do you eat for suhoor? What do you eat in suhoor? Interesting. That's an interesting. Well, I'm trying to do this juice thing. That's what I think to say, juice thing. I'm trying to lose the COVID weight. I'm sure all of you, or some of you, have gained a few pounds during COVID. I'm sure some of you, especially those who have been at home or been working from home, no walking around to work or whatnot, no public transport. See, literally, I'm sure some of you gained a few kilos. I'm not an exception to that. So I've been trying to lose weight by eating healthily for dinner and juicing throughout the day, or eating or drinking juice throughout the day, healthy juices. Obviously, can't do that now. So what I've planned to try and do is also continue the juicing, but also maybe have something a bit more heavy as a juice. So Quaker oats, banana, date, maybe one or two dates, honey, and I forgot the other ingredient, tahina, blended in a juice, and that was it. That's what I had yesterday, and it's been great actually. We've got probably another hour until iftar. I'm not really hungry, and I did half an hour exercise in the morning, and probably about 45 minutes walking as well, exercise, and it's been fine. So that's might be something to try. Try and have suhoor. That's something that's going to be again, have suhoor, take your fast easy. Again, and emphasizing what I've said about worship. Don't worship Allah by deliberately putting yourself in difficulty. That's not from Islam. If you are worshiping Allah and it's difficult, you get reward for that difficulty, having patience. But if you're worshiping Allah and it's easy and you make yourself difficult thinking that it's going to get extra reward, that's not the case. That's not the my teacher said that's batil, that's false. There's nothing in Islam which says you must make things difficult to get reward. The issue of difficulty is if it is difficult and you have patience, then great. You get extra reward for that difficulty. But it's not that if it is easy, you make it yourself difficult. That's now going in ghulu and extremes in religion. So the Messenger of Allah said that this ummah will remain upon good as long as they delay the suhoor and they rush to break their fast. That is literally a manifestation of what I've been trying to say. Is that delaying suhoor means that you leave it to the last possible moment to eat food, and rushing to break your fast, meaning you're breaking fast as early as possibly can, making the window for your fast as small as possible. Is that cheating the deen? Is that being miserly? Is that being, no, that's actually trying best to worship Allah in a sustainable way, as opposed to making your fast long. Anyway, you get the gist. I think I'll just take one more question, and then I need to get ready to do other things. It says here, how much can the Imam recite Taraweeh or during Taraweeh? Again, one of the beautiful things about COVID is that it revealed a lot of the fallacies we've assumed to be true. Fallacy number one, you must do 20 rak'ats or 8 rak'ats. No, you don't. Fallacy number two, you must finish the Quran during Ramadan. No, you don't. If you did complete rak'ats and you did finish the Quran during Ramadan, that is great. But if you can't, I mean, imagine you read Quran, as in you're going to try and read Quran. You're going to try and read Qiyam al-Layl or Taraweeh in your own home, and you literally read from the Mus'haf because you haven't memorized the Quran, and you're reading it like this: ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. You're not finishing the Quran anytime soon. You're not doing it. Not at that speed, not at that pace. So why make a target that is unrealistic and make it difficult for yourself? Just read what you can. Maybe set yourself a time target. I'm going to pray today for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. Manageable. Maybe you in that 20 minutes, all you can read is 3 pages. Listen, there's hadith, one who recites Quran and is shaq alayh, and it's difficult for him to read, he gets double the reward. So you actually get more reward than the Imam who recites like this. Listen carefully. An Imam who recites ease gets half the reward to, as Messenger said, make the religion easy for the people. Make religion easy for people. Stop, inshallah. Wa sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Thank you for having me here in this blessed radio station. We hope you've benefited from what I had to say. Please make dua for all the Muslimin during this blessed month, and ask Allah to remove this this global bala, this global pandemic from us, so we can return to some level of normality in our lives. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.